Hey everyone, my name's Allie and welcome back to my channel, Mindful Living. If you're interested in unique recipe and meal ideas, gardening and growing your own food, along with finding joy in the ordinary like me, then make sure to hit that subscribe button because I upload new videos every week. Okay, let's get started with today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing how to grow kale successfully in containers along with how my kale has been growing this season. Kale is one of my favorite leafy greens. It is nutrient packed and so delicious, but a lot of times people are not sure what to do with kale. And I think that's one of the main reasons why so many people don't like it or have never tried it before. So I want to share a few different recipe ideas, so stick around for the end of the video if you're interested in that. And I'm going to go ahead and get started by showing you guys how this has grown so far. So I started my kale plant a couple months ago indoors under a grow light, and I went ahead and transferred that outside in the early spring. Kale can grow pretty fast. It will mature in about 55 to 70 days, depending on your climate. And kale is actually considered a cool season crop. Although I have successfully grown this in the summertime, I make sure to leave it in a shaded area of my balcony when the afternoon sun hits and the heat. So in the morning, it gets lots of morning sun, and then in the afternoon, when the heat comes, it is in the shade. You can also grow kale in the fall season, so I highly recommend starting this one if you are thinking of doing a fall container garden. Just make sure to start your seeds about 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date, and keep in mind that kale can tolerate a light frost. You want to plant your kale into a fairly large size container, as these plants get really big, as you guys can see throughout my video here. I would recommend something at least 12 inches in diameter, and the bigger the better. My one kale plant here is grown in a fairly large size container, one of the biggest that I have. And then I also did a little experiment by planting another kale plant in my hanging basket, which had my strawberries in it from June, and it's doing really well so far. It is in a fairly sunny spot on my balcony, so some days I do have to move it into the shade during the afternoon time, which is one of the benefits of growing in containers. You can move your container around depending on the sunlight. Kale plants do enjoy full sun, so at least 6 hours or more a day, and they like temperatures between 55 to 75, so a little bit cooler, anywhere from 13 to 24 degrees Celsius. So like I mentioned earlier, when it is hotter than these temperatures, I make sure that my plant is protected from the sun and the heat during these times, and you can do that by using shade cloth or moving your container into a shady area in your outdoor space. You can start harvesting off your kale plant right away. You don't need to wait, so start by harvesting the outer leaves on the bottom, and this will ensure that the growth continues in the middle of the plant, and your kale plant will keep producing for a couple of months at least, basically until it is killed off by frost or intense heat. I like to have at least 2 kale plants in my garden every year because I do enjoy using kale in the kitchen, so let me show you guys a few easy recipes you can try yourself. So one thing to keep in mind when you are cooking with kale is you never want to eat the stem of your kale. So you guys can see me cutting here. I'm just removing the stem and doing a rough chop of my leaves here. Make sure to wash your leaves thoroughly before you eat them, and I use a salad spinner to just get rid of any extra moisture. So one of my all-time favorite ways to enjoy kale is just sauteed with some olive oil, garlic, and onions. And then topping all of that off with some feta cheese. It is so delicious. I highly recommend this side dish for any meal. And if you missed the full recipe, I did share this on my channel last year when I did a harvest of my kale plant then. So feel free to go back and check that out on my channel if you're interested in the ingredients and step-by-step instructions. Next up, I'm just showing a really easy breakfast idea, which is an egg casserole topped with fresh kale and mushrooms. It's a simple dish you can throw together and sneak some kale into for extra nutrients. From there, I am just showing my kale chips, so you just massage these with a little bit of olive oil and I cook them in my air fryer. Make sure to go back on my channel and check out the full video of how to make your own kale chips. They're really simple to make and somewhat satisfy that chip craving in a much healthier way. Another thing I recommend is using your kale in a salad. Chicken salad or a kale Caesar salad would also be so delicious. And lastly, I love adding kale into my smoothies or making my green juice with kale. It's a delicious way to add it in where you can barely taste it, so definitely try adding it into your next smoothie. I hope if you guys enjoyed this video on how to grow kale in containers and some of my recipe ideas, that you will leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you're going to try one of the recipes out. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up. It really does help to support me and my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in my next one.